Welcome to the SVG-TV Evening News and Sports for Thursday, January 2nd, 2014. I'm Carol Cato, and these are the details. If any deaths are to be recorded here as a result of the use of contaminated water, Opposition MP for West Kingstown Daniel Cummings says the Ministry of Health should be the one to take full responsibility. In an interview with SVG-TV News on Tuesday, the opposition MP outlined his disappointment with the slow pace in which the Ministry of Health has responded to the water situation in most areas following the Christmas Eve disaster. Cummings said it is not the first time public supplies have been disrupted, but the Ministry of Health's disaster preparedness is poor in relation to the dissemination of chlorine purification tablets.
Standard procedure for each community, through the health nurse, through the coordinator, through somebody in every village, to be given a supply of chlorine tablets before the hurricane season, during and after, so that you shouldn't have to wait for anybody from Kingston or anywhere else to carry chlorine tablets into the community. They should be there, and these people should be trained and going out and distributing them. If there are lives lost because of the contaminated water, the Ministry of Health must take full responsibility. And it's easy to happen.
Cummings also outlined that persons have been consuming contaminated water despite the appeals not to.
It is the little children and the elderly who are most at risk. The sick, the elderly and the little children who are most at risk from these waterborne diseases. And the chlorine tablets is the most effective way of dealing with this. People are using sources of water that are not safe for consumption. Even in the way they have in the baths and washing their clothes in the rivers where you have dead animals floating by. That is not the most hygienic environment in which to live.
In an earlier media release by Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Louis Deschamps, he cautions Vincentians to exercise sound judgment when conducting their regular daily activities as they await the full restoration of public utility services, particularly solid waste collection and municipal potable water. The release states that the absence of the primary water supply from the Central Water and Sewage Authority and the interruption of regular waste collection services may result in persons engaging in unsanitary practices to sustain lives and livelihood, noting that one household's source of water may be another's disposal site. The PS warns persons to desist from using unsafe water for any forms of human consumption and to practice safe and hygienic on-site storage of solid waste. Deschamps said in an attempt to prevent the occurrence and outbreak of communicable diseases, especially those associated with the consumption of unsafe water and food, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, in collaboration with other public and private entities, has activated its health disaster response mechanism by making more resources available towards reducing the human health impacts associated with the recent national occurrence. He further stated that environmental health officers, nurses who work within various communities, and other health professionals have been deployed in communities for the purpose of educating and promoting healthy lifestyle choices and providing water purification tablets to all citizens, and that to date there has been no outbreak of communicable diseases associated with the recent occurrence. And the rest of the country, with the exception of Barley and Oria, should have their water restored in their homes by the end of this week. That's according to Public Relations Officer of the CWSA, Joan Ryan, speaking to the media on Tuesday. Ryan outlined that major work still needs to be conducted on the Oria and Barley systems. Therefore, until further notice, those communities will continue to be serviced by water trucks. She thanked all other entities and government agencies which have been assisting in supplying water to affected residents throughout the country.
This time, the assistance given to us by our neighbors. I note on the news that Barbados sent in water through the Coast Guard. We also receive water from our counterpart in Grenada. A boat came in yesterday. They brought in some pipelines, and they also brought in a quantity of water that was sent down to Chatibile to be distributed to the communities on that side of the island. And we are really very grateful for that kind of support and cooperation.
The Central Water and Sewage Authority is providing a $500 reward for information to anyone on the destruction of 2 of the company's recycling bins which were located in the Sally Spring area. In a recent interview with SVG-TV News, manager of the Solid Waste Management Unit, Winsbert Quao, states that they observed that 2 of their bins were missing and were later recovered in a nearby gully.
We discovered that on the 30th, Monday the 30th. They were there, the last time we saw them was on Saturday 28th, so somewhere time between that period, someone took them off their stand and threw them over the bank sides. I know this is old year's time and sometimes people play pranks like that, but for us at CWSA this is a serious matter. A lot of work and effort and finances have gone into placing those bins at those locations. We know as a nation, we've been saying for a long time we want to see litter bins in Kingstown to help to improve the circumstances there in terms of litter. But to see that even at this time when the country is going through such a challenge and we have to spend money to just restore our regular infrastructure, that someone would find it amusing to destroy government property.
Quao outlined that they are taking the matter very seriously.
Because we are planning to extend this program and we don't want this to be a trend, and we have reported the issue to the CID department. You know that it is a crime to tamper with litter receptacles according to the Litter Act number 15 of 1991. It says that you can be fined up to $500 if you are found guilty upon conviction. And so we reported to the CID department and they are starting their investigations already. And just so that we can get some action on this, we have also offered a $500 reward for anyone who would provide credible information leading to the conviction.
Opposition leader Arnim Eustace has expressed concerns about the personal effects and appliances persons lost from their homes during the Christmas Eve floods. On his tour on Tuesday to the windward side of the island, Eustace said he's paying specific attention to these items, which he says are very important to everyday living.
Our quest to raise funds, we have suggested to the government, recommended to the government very strongly, that with respect to things like fridges and stoves that have been destroyed, and that they give duty-free concessions for the importation of those types of items, because it's going to take a long time to recover from this disaster.
The opposition leader says that their loss is very serious and should be dealt with as promptly as possible.
In addition, to pay attention to the reopening of school, because some children are now, some schools are being used as shelters, and school will open very, very soon. So I'm hoping that these matters will be handled quickly, and as I say, I'm particularly concerned about the damage inside of houses, the losses sustained there inside of many houses in St. Vincent and Grenadines. And I'd like to see that handled immediately. That impacts more than when a road is destroyed, it impacts. It's negative for you. But when everything you have in your own home has been destroyed, that is more far-reaching and plays more on your mind as you look to the future.
Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez has been ranked at number 2 on the Caribbean's most interesting people for 2013. Welcome back to the evening news. We're still on the local scene. This list, compiled by the Caribbean Journal, a daily digest magazine, cited the Prime Minister as being beaten only by a Haitian national. According to the journal, PM Gonzalez has become perhaps the official spokesperson for the Caribbean region, from taking on the United Nations on the cholera issue to strong criticism of the Dominican Republic's controversial citizenship ruling. The journal added that SVG isn't a large country, and yet Dr. Gonzalez continues to be heard. Prime Minister Gonzalez is the only Vincentian named on the list. Others on the list include world sprint king Usain Bolt, Bajan superstar Rihanna, Jamaican star Tessanne Chin, and former Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness. $492,000 worth of supplies and equipment from the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago arrived here on Tuesday. The vessel containing the supplies was accepted by disaster officials and Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez. Operations Manager at the Office of Disaster and Preparedness Management in Trinidad, Neville Wint, conveyed his country's support to SVG.
The initiative was led both by the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, the National Operations Center, and the Tobago House of Assembly. So we are committing ourselves through the government of Trinidad and Tobago, led by the Prime Minister, to assist you in your recovery effort, and we hope that this gesture of relief effort will go towards starting the process.
In accepting the assistance, Prime Minister Gonzalez thanked the Twin Island Republic immensely for the aid, which includes 3 technicians.
$492,000 worth of supplies and equipment, food, baby supplies, building materials, and of course you would have seen a couple pieces of heavy-duty equipment which are on loan to us. And very importantly, we have 3 important technical persons, 2 civil engineers and a safety expert.
Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisasar has been given full marks, according to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, for her speedy response in assisting SVG. Speaking at the handing over of the relief supplies, the Prime Minister showered the Twin Islands head with praise.
I have to give Kamla full marks, who has been very quick in her response and has been very generous in promptly offering, and we have received with gratitude. I am hoping that we can welcome Kamla to St. Vincent sometime soon so that she could see the damage.
Prime Minister Gonzalez added that this country continues to receive assistance from countries and persons all over the region, which he says are signs of solidarity.
I have to report that CARICOM has really come to us and to St. Lucia. Dominica has been affected adversely too, but not to the same degree like St. Lucia and St. Vincent. We have seen assistance to this country by governments of all descriptions, from Dr. Williams, Eric Williams, through to A.N.R. Robinson, Basdio Pandey, Patrick Mannion, and now of course my dear sister Kamla.
It has been now 10 days since St. Vincent and the Grenadines experienced one of its worst disasters in years. Many are still contemplating possible ways to get their lives back to some form of normalcy, while others are still trying to come to grips with their losses, including missing loved ones and friends. On New Year's Day, the workers of the Buckerman Bay Resort held a small vigil for their co-workers who disappeared on the night of Christmas Eve during the trough system, which severely battered SVG. The disaster, which displaced many persons, claimed 9 lives, with 4 persons still unaccounted for. The workers at the Buckerman Bay Resort congregated next to the collapsed bridge, where their co-workers were last seen alive on Christmas Eve night, singing candles and placing candles and singing hymns.
Sing the Lord with all thy heart, and lean unto thy own understanding. But in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. And lean unto thy own understanding. But in all thy ways, and he shall direct thy path. I'm grounded in the name of the Lord. The love of the Jesus before me.
The first burial of the victims will take place on Saturday. The government has already indicated that it will bear the burial costs of these victims.